Hi everyone，大家好。So 今天呢，我们带来了一位新朋友。So today we are with a new friend, Miss Ineka. We can see her name. Yeah, I think yeah, Miss Ineka. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm really
Yes.
hoping. Okay, good. Okay, and Miss Ineka she's when it comes to Korean, in Nigeria, and I'm talking of all over the world, right? Someone who speaks Korean so fluently. I mean, I don't speak Korean, right? But when I see her speak Korean, I guess that is the way people feel when they see me speaking Chinese, right? I'm just like, okay, how? How exactly? And I mean, this woman, she's an Igbo woman. Wow, Korean, like, how does it connect, right? So I got really surprised and of course impressed by how much effort, because I know how much effort I put into Chinese to get to where I am, right? So I can imagine the amount of effort she has put into this, and it's a great honor, I must say, to have her with us here today. And I would really like I want her to blow her trumpet. Please don't even
Hmm.
don't,
Hey.
don't be shy.
Oh,
Please blow your trumpet for us. Let us know. Please introduce yourself. I would really like if you can start with some small Korean greetings before you now go into
okay.
the main deal.
안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 제 이름은
Okay.
네카입니다. So my name is Neka. Hi, everyone. Um, I'm a Korean teacher. I'm a Korean teacher and interpreter. I think that's what I used to do before, like last month, when I started working as a research analyst for the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Institute, like the commercial attaché office of the Korean embassy in Lagos, Nigeria.
Wow.
So yeah, that's all.
Wow. Wow. You see, that last part was like, I was just like, wow, because that's a really big deal. The commercial attaché of the Korean embassy in Nigeria. In case you don't understand, like those people are the people looking into, investments coming into Nigeria, Korean companies coming into
From
Nigeria
Korea.
and from
Yeah.
Korea, you get, and this is like the money house where they are controlling, okay, which money is
Ah,
coming into Nigeria from Korea, you get. So she's in that office working as a research analyst. So that is a big deal. And I'm sure it goes without saying now the essence and the gold in language learning. I mean, the gold in
absolutely.
language learning, it goes without saying because I'm actually very curious. What were you doing before you started learning Korean?
What was I doing? I think I was schooling. I think I really took it seriously when I was doing my national youth service, like NYC in Nigeria. I was not really doing anything. It was like I had finished my university and I was waiting for NYC. I'm someone that does not like staying idle, even though I like watching Korean dramas for like 16 hours a day, something like that. But then I just felt like, I should also learn something, So while I was already watching Korean dramas, and I was already loving Lee Min Ho so much that when I learned he could not speak English, I was like, okay, it's also another opportunity to like learn something to be able to communicate with him if
In
I
case
ever
you
met
meet
him.
him one day.
Exactly, exactly. So it was like using one stone to kill two birds. So that was it for
Mm.
me.
Wow, interesting. I'm actually curious. What did you study at the university?
Biochemistry, actually.
Guys, no, hear that. Biochemistry, like from
Yeah,
biochemistry to Korean. I mean, so it's not really about what your background is actually. Language learning
yeah,
is for everybody. It's not really about
yeah.
it's not like you have to do linguistics in school or language in school
Mhm,
before you can learn the language. So
mhm.
I went through your social media and I mean Instagram now
Yeah.
and Twitter and your YouTube page so that I can, have some ideas about some things before so that I won't come here and come and, come
No
and lose
problem.
my steez. So I went through your Instagram, your Twitter, and I think, yeah, YouTube. So I saw this
Yeah.
video, this very detailed video where you introduced how you learned Korean, like self-study
Yeah.
Korean language and how others can also learn. So there was this
Mm.
word I picked up and I was hoping I would not forget. I think it's Angul. Please tell me
Angle,
it's
yeah.
Angul.
Yes,
I remembered. Yes.
yeah.
Angul. Yes. I was really hoping I would not forget. I was repeating it as often as I could. So could you
Uh,
please, for the sake of our audience, could you please briefly introduce again your journey, like how it started. I remember you said it started from watching Korean movies and up until
Mm.
this moment. So can you please briefly introduce that? Thank you.
So let me just give you a quick rundown. So I started watching Korean dramas in like 2013, 2012, 2013 or so. Then all through my university, I would watch with my friends. That was when I just got into a 100 level, right? So I would watch with my friends and then would argue, things like that. So there was this argument that really stuck with me when we watched Heartstrings. Somebody said, Chwahe, Chwahandago, and it meant like I like you. I said I liked you, right? So one of my friends, he's a guy, and he was like, no, that was not what she said. She first said I liked you, then she said I didn't like you again. So like that was not what it translated to. So we were arguing back and forth, and we Googled it, and then I was right, right? So I now saw that, I could like Google so many things. Like I could like see translations of like Korean words. I can say this Korean word and it tell me the English meaning, or I can say the English meaning and they will tell me in Korean, stuff like that. So I just felt, I would learn things like I'm hungry, I love you, thank you, so that I would come the
Wow.
next day and say, Oni, beg up fire to my friend, like, and we would laugh, things like that. So after university, I was now like home. I didn't have a job, and I had not even gone for service because in Nigeria you have to go for service before you can get a job or do your masters and stuff if you are not a very moneyed person, that is. So during my while waiting for my NYC, I just started learning, right? I was researching how to go to Korea. I was researching how to go to Korea. The English teaching programs that people like take US citizens, to like Korea, Asia, other parts of Asia. So I was researching that, and then one girl who's a Lee Min Ho fan on Twitter, she was like, "Oh, that she's from Chile, but she's living in Korea for a year on a working holiday visa." I was like, "That's interesting.
Wow.
How did you do it?" Yeah. And she said, that her country has a working holiday visa agreement with Korea. I'm like, okay, does Nigeria have? She said she no, no. So she sent me the website of the Ministry of Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I checked that website, and of course, sorry, not to downgrade Nigeria, but yeah, we do not have that relationship. We don't have that relationship, but then I also gained something. Like I saw the alphabet, the Hangul you were talking about. So the
Angle.
Korean alphabet, Hangul, yes. So I
Angle.
saw the Korean alphabet, and I was like, oh, this is simple. And they kind of like said, like they wrote, thank you and I love you, in Korean after they taught the alphabet. I was like, okay. Because before, when I told you, I used to like look up things like how to say something to Lee Min Ho or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I used to look up those things, but they were like in romanization, right?
mm-hmm.
So that was how I now saw the alphabet, and I learned it, and it was pretty simple to me. And then after that, I now went to Google, how to learn Korean, blah blah blah. Then I followed blog posts and I started learning. And honestly, I was just like, something you're learning for fun casually. I was just doing this very, very, very casually. Then in 2018, this was in 2017, like October. So in 2018, during my NYC, I found out, okay, NYC, you go to your PPA on, and then you come back in the mid-afternoon, in the late afternoon, and you're not doing anything. So I just decided to take the thing seriously. I even gave up like social media like that year, and then I took
Wow.
it really seriously. But then in 2020, the Korean Cultural Center in Abuja now said they were doing competition, best Korean speaker. Remember, by then I was learning. I had been learning for like 2.5 years, and then they called for a video essays for both beginner level and intermediate level. Funny enough, I was so cocky, I skipped the beginner level. I then went on the
Ooh.
intermediate level. Yes. And I won. Like, I won the contest. I was like, okay. When they announced it and they said I was number one, I was like, how?
All
Like
right.
I'm literally learning this in my house. And funny thing is that the Korean Cultural Center had a Korean Learning Center in Abuja. So I
Mm-hmm.
had never gone there. I was living in the Southeast, things like that. So I won, and the prize was like money and then a trip to Korea, things like that. I was
Wow.
like, I was very surprised and impressed actually, because
Yeah.
I was learning this thing for fun and I was learning for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I couldn't go to Korea, by the way, because of like the COVID
COVID.
restrictions.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tell me about it.
I know. But then they sent me consolation prizes and everything. That was from there, people were like, "Oh, Nneka, how did Because like they posted it online. Me too. I would like reacted to it, and people now start asking me how did I learn, and I should teach them stuff like that. Me, I started teaching it. I was even teaching it for free, right? And people were, when people see you speaking a foreign language, they'll be like, I want to learn, I want to learn. They'll be so excited. But then when they get into it and see that it's actually difficult and they need dedication, they will run away. So that was what people were doing. Then late 2020, somebody was doing a class on how to monetize your skills and stuff like that. So I joined the class. She said I should write an ebook on how to learn foreign languages. I wrote it. And then just from there, I started creating content, like trying to sell the ebook and stuff like that. So in 2021, I moved to Lagos, right? And then I met people. Like Don Jazzy, Momiwa, like just content creators. And then I just started, showcasing my skills, right? Learning more, because the competition really encouraged me to like learn the Korean properly, not for just myself, but for like, for use. So that was like just my journey. Then was it in 2022 or 2023? Some Korean lady, she was like, oh, my friend told her about me. I should come and interview for interpretation role. And I interviewed with some other people, and then I got the job, and that's how I started interpreting. Yeah. So funny enough, the agency that I work for, the Korean government agency that I work for, they had used me as an interpreter before, right? And then when the opening, like when the position in their office opened up, they like told us, oh, come and apply, the interpreters they had used. And after the interview, again, I got the job,
Wow.
so it's just been,
wow.
just,
Yeah.
That's,
Wow.
how we are here, where we are today.
Wow, that's a very inspiring story, I must say. Like, it is really inspiring in the sense that whether it is Korean you are learning, Chinese, or whatever it is you are learning, the fact that that dedication part you mentioned is really, really important. I mean, it is really, really important because just as you said, when a lot of people would come, I mean, they like the fact that you're speaking a foreign language. Then they come to you, I want to learn this language. But then everybody wants to start speaking in 2 months. Sorry, in 1 month.
Exactly. People don't even give it. See, currently I'm learning Spanish, right? And because I learned Korean by myself, and people have seen how good, how well the skills has been helping me. So I was like, oh, I want to learn Spanish this year. And if anybody was willing to learn Spanish with me, they should come. I got like over 400 responses on Twitter.
And
like, that's a lot. I can't manage
and do
people,
this,
right? For free, right? And somebody was like charged for it to like reduce the crowd, and I charged for it, and over 100 people paid for it.
Still
right?
Paid?
Yes. Do you know that out of those like 100 people, there's barely like 10 active people? Because like at the beginning they were so excited, so gingered and everything, but then today they will give excuse. I have job, my work is this. But me, that I'm working, like I'm teaching Korean and I'm working for the Korean embassy. I still learn that Spanish in the morning before going to work.
Every day.
When I go to work during my lunch break, yes. Or in the evening when I'm coming back. And I will be sending them updates. Do your own and send to me. You get it? And there's only few people that actually
still do that.
So, yeah, so that dedication is very, 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 very important.
It is very essential. Yeah, it is very, very essential.
Because tomorrow, like by Christmas now, or by next year, February, when I'm speaking Spanish, they'll be like, oh my God, how did you do
it? How did you do it? I mean, it is always the how did you do it for me? Like, how did I do what?
I know, like,
how did I do what exactly? It is honestly, I mean, I'm not a very social media person, actually. My friends tell me, you are 50 in your mind because, I mean, your age is not a social media person, right? But because I struggle with social media. I really struggle with the whole
me too,
and this and that. But then that is how you get people to know what you do. Right? That is in this world we have today. That is how you get people to know what you do, because how many people do we meet, right? So now I'm sure you must have noticed that I'm trying to, put things together, try to be consistent and this and that. But one thing I've really noticed is that everybody's coming to you to ask you how. I mean, I'm okay with telling you how, actually. I'm okay with telling you how. I'm very fine with that. But then what I realize is that after telling them how, they still tell you, It's something is not working. But are you
Yeah,
actually doing those things I told you?
they are
I
not
mean,
doing it. They are not doing it. That's the problem. They are not doing it. They give so many excuses. Like even the ones that will pay you huge amounts of money to teach them directly, right? So I'm a Korean teacher, B. Some people like people abroad, I charge them in dollars, and people in Nigeria, I charge them in naira.
Naira.
Somebody has paid me like almost 200,000 naira for Korean class, and she attended only once or twice, and I never heard from. Like I will be messaging her, she'll be ignoring me. Till today, do you get?
Can you imagine?
And there, there is nothing I can do in this situation. Like they
What
used to
can you
think
do?
that because they paid the teacher, I cannot do anything.
What can you
You're a
do?
horse, I can carry you to the river, but I cannot force you to drink water. Do you get?
Definitely, definitely,
So,
definitely.
like,
And honestly, I feel like if we continue, I mean, expressing our frustrations with different students, that's how we
we
do on
will
this call.
finish the time. I'm telling you. I'm telling
That's
you.
how we do on this call, honestly, because I've just met so many of them. And I'm really inspired about so many things you mentioned. Number one, about the dedication. And number two, exactly, it is knowing why you are doing something, right? Okay,
Yeah.
at the beginning, even doing something for fun is also a why. I mean, I tell my
Yes,
students,
now. Yes,
doing it
now.
for
Yes,
fun is also a why because we know that,
it
there
is.
is a lot of pressure in this life, right? So when you do
Mm.
something that makes you happy, I'm just doing this thing for fun to relax. That is also a
Yeah.
very important reason to do anything, right? So I always tell my
Yeah.
students, and right now, in fact, I have a long list of questions. Anybody that is sending me a message that I want to learn Chinese, that's the first thing I
Mm.
send them. At least that would first, I want to learn Chinese. Why must I go through the stress of answering all these questions, right? At least
Because it's necessary. Yeah.
that would help me. I mean, at least find out whether or not you're actually learning this because you want to learn it, or you because I
Mm.
don't have the time for you to waste, right?
Exactly.
So having
Exactly.
a reason why you want to do something and actually keeping up with it is very, very
Mm.
important. And I mean, and you said something that was really important. You said at some point you gave up social media because you needed to concentrate. Please tell me.
Yes.
I mean, because you know that this is something that would be useful for you eventually, or probably at that time you
Yeah.
probably didn't know. You just felt like, okay, I was
Mm.
enjoying this and I was like, I mean, I really want to do this. You gave up something else so that you
That took a lot of my time.
right?
Yes.
So that you could get that goal. But then today, I tell I mean, 5 minutes practice, 10 minutes practice
Mm.
every day. It's enough. If
Um,
you, I mean, it's not doing 2 hours today and next 2 months, pick it up again. If it is five
exactly. That is what
minutes,
frustrates me the most.
right?
Yeah.
If it is 5 minutes you have, 5 minutes in a day you have to just focus on this thing. If you do it every day, it might take a time, it might take a while before you get that
Yeah.
result, but it would eventually come. Right? It would eventually come. So I mean, that was
Mm.
just really inspiring. I felt like you were saying my story, even though it's a little bit different for me. So I think
Yeah.
whether it is Chinese you're learning, it is Korean or any other, in fact, or any other thing entirely, I think knowing your why and sticking to it and just staying dedicated and consistent with it would really, really help. And I hear,
Yeah.
I mean, you still take Korean students, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so
But in
anyone
the
who wants
evenings or weekends.
So anyone
Mm.
who wants to, still learn Korean, you can still, I would add our contact at the description below, in the description below. So anyone who wants to learn can still reach out to her. So
Mm.
moving on. I know there was a part where you mentioned that you participated in the competition at
Yeah.
the Korean Culture
Korean.
Center. Cultural
Yes.
Center, yeah. So I would like to
Mm.
ask, that was at that point you registered for the intermediate competition, right? And after that
Yeah.
time, you got the drive to move on. And there is always this thing
Mm.
I notice with languages, at least for my journey and so many other people learning Chinese. We notice there's a big plateau. I like to call it plateau that you have to cross this big bridge you have
From
to cross from
intermediate
intermediate to
to
advanced.
advanced.
It's like, when you're going from the beginning, it's like you're just smooth, you're just flowing,
Yeah.
flowing, flowing. But you just get to that place, boom, and you just be like, I'm practicing every day, no changes. I'm doing everything
Mm.
every day. I'm just here. It's like you're stuck, right? Like nothing is
Mm.
changing. So that place is always like it's a big struggle and a challenge for a whole lot of people that I know. So I would like to know if you
Yeah.
experienced something similar and how you
And
overcame that challenge.
I think I've passed that intermediate plate. Like people tell me, oh, your Korean is really good. You must be like a native Korean speaker right now. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, because sometimes, especially when they use, Korean has a lot of words that came from Chinese, even though like Korean and Chinese are not similar, right?
Hmm.
But because of like the cultural
Influence.
exchange, yes, yes, because of cultural influence, there are words they're called Hanja words, and these words are the words they use in like informal
Formal.
situations, like in the embassy, So those words, I don't know them. I don't know many of them. Do you get? So when they speak that they are solid Korean, I have to decipher. Do you get? Like I have to give me a second. Let me put the different verb roots together to like know this is what. So I feel like I'm not past that intermediate play too. However, I still like make a lot of efforts to try to pass it. I try to like read advanced Korean text and just like listen to advanced Korean audios and like just try to check the words in the dictionary, things like that. Practice with vocabulary apps like Quizlet or Anki, things like that. But that play too is hard, honestly. It's really hard.
I
Yeah.
feel you. I totally feel you. I mean, I feel you. I get you. I understand you. I everything because because I spent okay, I would say I've actually crossed that stage. Good, I mean, good for me. But I spent 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, 4
Mm.
freaking years. I mean, 4 years of my life, of my precious life on intermediate play too. I mean, I was frustrated to the point where I felt like, you know what? it's okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm done. Like, what's this? Like, ow,
Yeah.
so annoying because I think just like you said, Chinese is also has something like the normal everyday language and the formal language. Now, formal language that
Yes.
when there is all this official talks, the president, blah 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 blah, the kind of things they would say. And aside from that, because I
Like,
studied interpreting, what did you say?
I said like when you go for interpretation, you have to pay attention, else you return the money they paid you for that.
My sister. I feel you. Like, and aside from just the understanding the formal expressions, you also need to, because I studied
Yeah.
interpreting actually, like formally, I did formal
Oh,
interpreting. So
yeah.
I do
Mm.
consecutive, simultaneous for, this kind of UN kind of interpreting
Yeah,
stuff.
interpretation. Yeah.
So when I started that program, that was
Mm.
2021 September, I realized that
Yeah.
I was not, I mean, I was speaking baby Chinese. That was how it felt. Like I was speaking baby Chinese because
Yeah.
it felt like I needed to know everything in Chinese. And when I say everything now, I mean economics, geography, politics, world history,
Medicine,
med, e-
engineering. Yeah.
everything. Like I need to know at least the basics, how these things
Mm.
work, everything in Chinese. And it just felt like, why? I'm not a Chinese person. What's all this problem?
I know, right?
Like, what is all this? Then someone told me something really important, which is quite similar to what you just
Okay.
said. The person told me that a Chinese professor, he said, well, you can look at it from two different ways. As a foreigner learning a foreign language, at this point, you've
Mm.
actually done a good job. Like you're at a very good point right now. There is this
Yeah.
exam we call HSK in Chinese. It's Chinese proficiency exam.
Yeah.
I've done the highest level at
I,
the time and I passed
mm.
really well, right? So he was like, I mean, you've
Mm.
done a very good job. So for a foreign language, you're at a very good stage. But then, if you want to succeed as an interpreter, you need to stop seeing Chinese as a foreign language, but start seeing it as your
Mm.
second language,
Adiola. Mm.
right? Because we say we have
Mm.
L1, which is our first language, our own English, our Igbo, our Yoruba.
Mm.
Then your second language are
Mm.
other languages you speak, right? So now you
Mm-hmm.
have to start seeing it as your second language other than a foreign language. Because if it's a
Yeah.
foreign language, there is this wall between you and that language
Yeah.
that keeps making you
Yeah.
feel I'm good. I'm good enough. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's your second
Mm.
language, just as you speak English and discuss everything in English, or you speak Yoruba, Igbo, and discuss everything in those languages, you would feel like you want to
Mm.
discuss everything in Chinese too. So I asked him, okay, if I want to achieve that, what do I do? He said, you need to immerse
Mm.
yourself. That was the word he used. Immerse
Yes. Yeah.
yourself more in those kind of contents. And that is exactly what you said you are doing now. Reading more
Mm.
advanced Korean,
Yeah.
listening to more
And
advanced Korean, using all those, apps like Anki, Quizlet, and the rest of them to review things
mm.
you've started learning and you are still learning. So
Yeah.
that is also my advice for so many people, because I think that is where people actually give up. Usually, a lot of
Mm.
people, that is where they give up learning that, oh, I can't do this. No, this is just too crazy. You get. So I really appreciate that too. So, and there is another thing I wanted to ask now that I don't know how it works for Korean. But for Chinese, I've noticed that a lot of people can actually write, they can read. But when it comes to speaking, that's where the issue comes, right? Like
Yeah.
there are tones, they find they have difficulties with the tones, with the initials, the
Mm,
consonants, the vowels, and things like that. So it's like some people even add they are like upper intermediates. They have to start
mm.
learning again for them to speak well in like when it comes to speaking. So I want to know how it works
Yeah.
for Korean and how you improved your Korean speaking.
Mm, honestly, Korean speaking is the hardest part for me. I'm a very good Korean writer, right? I can maybe because I'm a very good writer naturally in English, right? But speaking is hard. So now my listening, I had to make up with my listening, right? So that I would be very solid. Like if you say anything, I can understand it. I will not start teaching myself how to explain that thing to you. Do you get? So, but what I try to do is I try to like watch videos and try to follow people, like shadow them, right? So that I'm actually speaking because the problem was that I was learning on my own now. So I was keeping, like, I was shutting up. I was just learning top in my head. I was not practicing with my mouth. So what I try to do when I realized that, oh, Nika, you have to interpret Korean, or you have to tell Koreans what they said in English, I will like tell say to English people, what they said in Korean, whatever. So I have to like start forcing myself to speak Korean. So sometimes when I'm watching Netflix, I'll pause if I hear a line that I want to try repeating after, I'll pause and then
Hmm.
I will say that thing and then I will take it 10 seconds back and listen to it again and just try to repeat after Koreans, after native Korean speakers until I kind of like sound like them. But still I struggle with my speaking, but at least it's not as bad as like when I started out.
Mm, very good, very good. I think in fact it feels like we are using the same
Method.
methods. I mean that was one thing I was really interested in
Yeah.
knowing whether I mean, of course, there will be some really small different details because these are different
Mhm.
languages, right? Although some people think
Yeah.
they are the same. No, Korean and Chinese are not the same. I
I,
speak Chinese does not mean I can speak Korean. And she speaks Korean
guys,
does
even
not mean she's
right? They call me Chinko. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's not Korean and Chinese is not the same thing. Why are you saying Chinese? And
tell
this
them,
I beg, I tired, Jerry. But yeah,
tell
it's
them.
almost like the methods that we use
Yeah, the
is
methods are
yeah.
like quite similar. I'm always I want to say preaching because it has become preaching already. Like
Preaching,
I am
yeah,
preaching, like I am preaching and begging, that for speaking, what people find difficult most is repeating the same thing. I feel
yeah.
like we get bored easily. So when you tell them, okay, mimicking, saying
Keep
what this
saying
person has said and shadowing, they'll be like, how long will I do that for?
of my students will be embarrassed. And I'm like, look at yourself as a baby. You know how children that are 1 year old say papa, they will say baba, say papa, they will say until after a week or two before they can be able to say that papa the way you said it. I say, do like that. You are being shy, you are doing embarrassed. Nobody's insulting you. It does not mean you're not as smart as you are now, normally. It just means that you're a baby in this language, but people don't really. I don't know why people. There's no need to be embarrassed. So
I
yeah,
mean,
right.
there is no need to be embarrassed. Like we should actually be happy we are making mistakes because making mistakes mean we are slowly going to be correcting these mistakes and we're slowly going to get better, right? So honestly, for speaking, I totally agree with you, especially for people that are learning alone. I was lucky
Mm,
because I didn't learn alone all through. I started with school, right? So in between, of course, there are things you have to do by yourself, right? But I started with school, so there was a structure in quotes.
yeah.
There was a structure. And the truth is that mimicking for speaking, we really need to do a lot of repeating. You just need to copy and paste what somebody else is saying. Like at the beginning, you probably don't have you don't have all it takes to speak by yourself to express yourself. So
Mm,
mimic right from there, go on to shadowing, then go on to trying to explain what you just mimicked and shadowed, right? By paraphrasing
yeah.
or trying to retell the story in a way you enjoy it. But then nobody wants to do anything repetition. After 2 weeks, I'm still honestly, honestly, the truth is I enjoy teaching, actually. I really enjoy
Yeah.
teaching, but it gets frustrating. And you know that it leads to my next question about like teaching, right? Teaching. I've been teaching for a very long time, but I didn't used to
Yeah.
take it as teaching. Like I tutor people in primary school, secondary school, blah blah blah, to prepare for exams and things like that. And when it came to teaching Chinese, I really at the big, although I did my first master's in teaching, like teaching
Yeah.
Chinese, right? But then
Yeah.
I was still like I didn't really want to teach. But when I started doing interpreting, it was like you have to learn so many things. And I was learning so many things and felt like my brain was too full. I needed to share some of this thing I was learning. Else
Yeah.
like I would explode. That was how it felt. So that
Yeah.
was how I started teaching. And you know, when
Mm.
you start teaching, you meet different kind of people. You meet really awesome students. Oh, I've met
Yes.
awesome students. And you meet
It's
students that you know what I mean. So I mean,
actually yes.
I'm really interested in hearing like challenges you faced as a teacher. Like, what's like the most common, aside from the challenges you faced personally as a teacher, what are the kind of, the most common problems or challenges that your students face, and how do you advise them to solve them?
So my biggest issue with many of my students, or many students, because even me when I was a French student, I did that, was shoving the responsibility of their learning to the teacher, right? So what I mean is, a student will come and pay you for a class and register for a class. Oh, we are having class on Mondays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., things like that. And then Wednesdays, So today we'll come and learn Korean nouns, for example, Korean verbs, right? And you know that we need to learn the verbs to learn how to make sentences, right? And then I will now say, oh yeah, after teaching you the verbs, I will now say, oh yeah, do this assignment, right? Practice this. And then in the next class, we'll now learn how to form sentences. The next class, they will come as they were before. They would not learn it. So what I mean by shoving the responsibility of their learning is that they think that I will put everything in their head and they will not do anything. They will just relax since they are paid money. So that is the common issue. And then when they find that it's not like that, they try to think you're not a good teacher, or that they are not gaining anything from the class, or that they don't think they will learn this language, and then they give up. So that is my biggest issue with my students. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
You
sad.
sound you sound like you sound
It's
like
it's so sad because I mean I wish I could say I can't relate. I wish I
yeah.
could say, I mean, oh really? Oh, sorry about that. I really wish I could
Mhm.
do all of that, but unfortunately, you know, you were saying my own challenges, and it's just like I really wish students would do better. I really wish students would
Yeah.
do better, and I really wish people are actually clear. I mean, at least they have, even if it's not clear, they have a rough idea of why they want to do something, and they can stick with it
Yeah.
when they decide to learn languages. Because at the end of the day, it's not just your time you're wasting; you're also wasting my time and my emotions. Because I feel
Yeah.
irresponsible, and I don't feel happy when my student is not doing well, right? As
Mm-hmm.
because we are good teachers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because at this
Okay.
point. So yeah, the second phase of the question is like, so for your students, I mean, for those that have been dedicated and all, what's like for language learning generally now, what's like the most common issues you think they are always facing, and usually how do you advise them to get over these issues?
So it's actually speaking that we have said, right? It's actually the speaking that we have said, because many students, like the ones that I know that are serious about learning. So how I used to judge people that are serious about learning is they take it upon themselves to also explore in the language, right? They explore even new study materials, they explore the internet, they explore their textbooks, just like outside whatever the teacher is telling them to do, they can, I had one very good student, like he was, I think maybe because he was an Arabic teacher, so he took Korean very seriously, right? So he was very, very good. So one of the challenges that they do face is that speaking. Since we don't live in a Korean speaking country, right? So they are learning by themselves, and basically they have only me and maybe the other students that I put them in a group with, right? So it's usually that speaking, they feel embarrassed, they feel they want to know more things before they can attempt to speak, things like that. So I usually just advise them to speak, say anything. Babies, when they are growing, they want to say water. They say water. They don't know any other thing besides water at that point, right? Or they don't know any other thing besides their mother. say the one you know first. You don't have to wait till you learn all the textbooks finish before you speak, So it's actually that speaking that I feel like is the challenge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's quite similar actually. It's really similar, and I think I spoke to some other language teachers, and they expressed the same thing. So I think, like you
Mm.
said correctly, you said people feel they want to know everything, and they feel like knowing everything would help them speak. But at the end of the day, what we realize is knowing everything would actually not help you speak.
Yes, you have to speak.
You just have to start speaking. I mean, you
Yeah.
can start speaking from day one with anything it is you've learned. I remember,
Mm,
I used to tell my classmates. So there's this sentence in Chinese. I like using it as an example a lot. I didn't know what toilet was, restroom was when I
yeah.
just started learning Chinese, but I knew how to say I want to go. So I used to say
Mm,
我要去 toilet. So that means I want to
mm,
go to toilet. But I don't know what
yeah.
toilet is. And when I
Yeah.
do this, I'm able to practice the 我要去 that I know, and I'm
Yeah.
giving the motivation to actually go and learn what toilet is because I want to say the complete sentence in Chinese,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
I feel like
Yeah.
and that leads to like the next thing I wanted to say about setting realistic expectations. I feel
Oh.
like so many people set unrealistic expectations. And it is, I don't know how to express this, but I feel like although you have to practice, you have to do this, you have to that, your
Mm.
mindset plays a very important role in your
Is
learning.
the major I feel like it's the major.
It is
Sorry to
like
interrupt. I feel
number
like it's the
one.
most important. Yes, yes.
Yes. Like if you don't have the
Important.
correct mindset, if you feel like from day one when you start learning, you feel like this thing is too difficult, I cannot learn it. No matter how many
Mm.
hours a day you put into the practice, you would not see
You
the
will not.
result. But if you're optimistic and you are embrace like if you embrace your mistakes and you allow yourself to actually take it one step at a time, right? Things would get better as you go, right? But then, it ups me honestly. Like I don't even know how to express this again. I don't know how to answer respectfully and politely anymore. I don't know how to answer
Yeah.
people that keep telling me I want to learn Chinese in 1 or 2 months. I've been
Me,
on
I
this.
used to simply say, sorry, oh, you can't learn Chinese, or sorry, you can't learn Korean. You can't even learn it. I used to tell them, you can't even learn it in 5 years with this mindset. Do you get? Because you will not learn it. Sorry. I just, those kind of students, I don't even accept them. Because I will try to explain and explain. Some people will understand, right? But some people will not.
They would not.
Mm.
How long have you been learning Korean now? From 20, unofficially, from 2013 till this time is 11 years. 11
Yes.
freaking years. I've been learning
But
Chinese
officially started in 2017 and it's like 7
2017.
years now.
Seven years old, and you are still learning. And you are still feeling
And
like you're
still,
at intermediate level. But then
yeah.
someone wants to learn in 2 months.
In 2024, they want to start 2024 and speak Korean 2024. Speak interpreter level Korean, or not even beginner, hello, how are you, Korean. Do you get? So
I
it's,
don't
it's
get it.
honestly,
I don't get it,
me,
honestly.
these days is like mindset that I want to change, like people's mindset towards learning. That is what I've been using my Twitter to do these days. Try to tell you, oh, you have to like go very slow, like a snail, but for you to go that slow, you have to be steady. Do you get? You have
Yeah,
to go slow and
and
steady.
steady.
But if you are slow and not steady, if you're not fast and still not steady, you will not, so you need to go just straight
And find a
before you
balance.
make progress. And
And
then
find a balance.
when you start seeing progress, you will now understand that, oh, you don't even need to rush. You can take it easy. How many years it takes you does not really matter. What matters is that eventually you will learn
You're
the
making
language.
Yes, you're making progress. You're making progress. Thank you so much. That's gold. And I don't really use Twitter yet. Maybe okay. I should take myself to Twitter too. I am still struggling with Instagram and
Twitter
LinkedIn
is my
and
favorite social media channel. I
oh
honestly I
really?
don't create yes, I don't used to create videos before and things like that. But people will see me now and be like, "Oh, Neka is a seasoned content creator." It's a lie. I don't like showing my face. I prefer to write. I'm telling you, I prefer to type it.
Wow.
I prefer, but it's just because recent after meeting Don Jazzy, Don Jazzy is like the content creation
Creator.
boss.
Mm-hmm.
You get, so because of that I now stayed, and by God's grace I also have the face, the personality,
Yeah.
things like that. So I stayed, but I don't like creating content. You said you noticed it because it's not every time. Sometimes I'll go on like 6 months break. I don't like creating content, but you see Twitter, we died there.
Every day. every day. Oh, I think I should go and explore Twitter too, because it's for me
I
it's
really
just
like
really tiring. I think I should
it.
explore since it's just writing. I mean, when I just
Yeah.
have any opinion, I can just put it there and things like that. Yeah, it's okay.
Mm,
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. So before we go, I wanted you to
mm,
give like any final advice for anyone learning any language at all. Then that's one. Then two, I want this advice to kind of shed a little bit light on how language learning is actually, I mean, for those who are looking to maybe changing careers or maybe even exploring
yeah.
a different way of earning income and things like that, how language learning is actually a very effective way of doing that. I mean, it is actually gold. It is not,
Yeah.
I mean, it is gold if you do it the correct way and do it well. So,
Yeah.
final word. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think I've always had this in my head, right? People we want to be a project manager or product manager or like
Data
data
analyst.
analyst. They will go and study on Coursera or Udemy. They will take it seriously. They will show up every day. They will meet their targets. You get? They will sit down. They will carry jotter. They will carry textbook. They will browse. They will do this one. But when it comes to language learning, they think is Duolingo. Like they go and focus. Why?
I
Do you
don't
get?
get
So
it.
language learning. Yeah, so language learning is actually a serious business. Just like
It
your
is.
data analysis, your coding, your programming, your project management, your Google AdSense learning, things like that.
Yeah.
So I need people to learn to take it seriously. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the English we speak now is because they start teaching us from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and we did not even learn the English well until like after secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 12 years, right?
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
primary school to secondary school after 12 years before we were able to be confident in our English.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing with foreign, like any other foreign language. We have the advantage of being adults now. So we are not learning new words in our
Mm-hmm.
native language before we learn it in the other language. Because children now, sometimes you teach, because I teach kids now. So sometimes
Wow.
you teach them something they don't even know in their native language yet. So they are at a disadvantage. But you that is an adult, you already have a repertoire of words, and like you already know everything you need to know. So you
Yeah.
just need to translate it to a new language. But
Mm-hmm.
you cannot translate it without like encoding it in your brains little by little. So you have to
True.
do you have to learn a foreign language how you usually learn your other serious. It is serious business. You need to research, you need to like sit down. Don't just take it as something casually. They will bring out Duolingo and say, I've practiced today, tomorrow. If you do Duolingo from now till next year, you will not speak any Chinese or French or Korean or Spanish. Do you get? So you need to like
Yeah.
use text, use YouTube, use different resources to learn
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learn seriously. You need to assign a time, like you carry notebook and sit down and read. And then during other casual times, you need to be with it. Since you don't live in a country where they're speaking that language, you also
Yeah.
need to be with it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to it in your ear, watch it, listen. I usually send my students songs in Spanish that they should be listening to when they are maybe washing plates, cooking, so that the language is also with you at every point in time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And another thing is to give yourself time. You might so I know that some people don't really know how to memorize vocabulary. They'll come and read, check his book. They will not be saying check his book, check his book, check his book. They will close their book. Tomorrow they will expect to remember that check. It doesn't work like that, right? So you need to learn the proper way of acquiring this language, right?
Yeah.
And then secondly, I think what was the other question you asked me?
Like connecting it to opportunities and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. We learn it so that we'll change careers or we'll get better jobs, better paying jobs. So the
Opportunities.
same thing with foreign language. I got this Korean embassy job because I speak Korean, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that when I was studying biochemistry. Honestly, my dream was I will get as graduate assistant. I will go and do masters. I will come and do PhD. I'll be a lecturer. And if I'm a lecturer in Nigeria, my money will not be plenty. Do you get? Even lecturers abroad are also complaining, right? But now that I work in the Korean embassy, I'm earning plenty money. And as a side hustle too, I'm also like doing the coaching thing and teaching other people. I'm also earning plenty money. If I get interpretation job, I also earn money. Do you get? So if
Mm-hmm.
it is something that you really want to do, right? You need to learn it properly. But it's not also by learning Korean or learning Chinese or learning. I
Definitely.
know people who know how to speak this language, but they don't have this kind of jobs that I'm getting.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to learn how to put yourself out there.
Out there.
Yeah,
Mm.
and not just put yourself out there, but be professional in your offer, like in your cabbage. I don't know. Like, I feel like why they choose me for, like, if we go for interviews or anything, they pick me over my peers because I carry myself very, very well, right? I carry myself professionally. I try to tell you that I have a lot of things to offer
To
because
offer you.
yes, when Koreans are coming into Nigeria, they need to know information about tourist locations. They need to know information about our government policies that could affect their businesses. You also need to like know those kind of things. You need to
Very.
be resourceful. You should know people that can help your clients. Yeah, right. If your clients need help, police officers, health officials, people that are into renting of cars. You just have to like be somebody that's very resourceful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And know how to put yourself out there in order to like get
The
the good job.
opportunities, yes.
Yeah, the opportunities. Yeah, it's not just by learning a language. You also have to learn other skills.
Other
Also,
skills.
yes, also learn the culture of the people that you're learning their language, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Koreans, for example, they don't shake hands, right? You cannot come and first come and put your hand for a Korean person, right? I'm just saying, for example, do you get? So you need to learn their culture so that you also carry yourself in the way that they carry themselves. Because me now, if I see a Korean person and you want to say, oh, like that,
I feel like I
and they
should
are
start
like,
learning Korean. Are you still taking
yeah,
students?
you
Because I
teach me
don't
Chinese.
shake too, and people get offended. I mean, sorry for cutting you. Please go
No,
ahead.
no, no, no problem, no problem. No, like Koreans, they are usually happy when because I behave like them, right? I talk like them, I act like them, and then when I don't know something, I'm like, sorry, if I make a mistake, forgive me. I've never lived in Korea, so I don't really know, but at least I do
You
my
try.
research, things like that. So people should also learn how to like learn other skills that is not just,
The
how to
language.
speak. Yes, it's not just the language, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's like a whole lot of juice and gold. We call it in Chinese, we call it ganhuo, like a whole lot of ganhuo in that comment. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really, really appreciate you coming here today. I can see that you are
I,
very stressed because
I appreciate my
I
dear.
mean,
I appreciate
yeah.
having
I can
me.
imagine. I can imagine how stressed you are. And on behalf of my listeners and myself, I mean, I've learned a lot of things myself today here, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming. We hope
Thank
to see
you so
more
much.
of you because I mean, there's just too much gold in there that we need to
Yes,
share with more people, right?
no
So
problem. No
we look forward to seeing more of you.